Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talk About It Tuesday with This is Improv. My name is Angelica Zadak, and today we have a guest, Marilyn Carlisle. Hi, Marilyn. How you doing?
Hi, Angelica. I'm doing great. Thank you. How about you?
Pretty well. Yeah, it's a beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day. It is already getting warm outside, but it is beautiful.
Yeah.
And not raining. Yay.
Yeah, last night, I don't know if you saw it, but the moon was huge and it was so nice.
Yeah, beautiful. One of those things. I was actually reading somebody, and a friend of mine is a drifter. They actually retired and they got an RV, and they just live out of their RV and they travel. So they were on their journey back from Florida to California. And, the one thing that connects everybody, actually, everywhere is the moon. Everybody can go outside and see that full moon and can comment on that full moon, whether you're in Florida or whether you're in California. And it was just really cool.
Yeah, we're all looking at the same moon.
Yes, right.
So
right.
Cool. It's poetic. That's really poetic.
Yeah.
So Marilyn, I'm really excited to have you on because you're a working actress. You do this for your profession, part of your profession. I know you also are a wonderful vet, and that's beautiful as well. And you act. So all these fun, empathy-driven career choices. So I'm really excited to talk to you today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
So I want to get started with the start of you in your artistic journey. So where did it begin for you? What was the first thing that sparked this acting passion?
It was 2009 when I started the acting.
Okay.
And so I had no idea that I wanted to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I was practicing veterinarian and honestly feeling a little bit of, gosh, what else am I going to do for the rest of my life? I'm kind of already have done this. There must be something more. And so I was actually at a Pilates class, and this beautiful woman befriended me, Patricia Gomez. Okay. And she is a model, actor, beautiful woman. And she said, do you model? And I was like, no way. I've never seen myself as a pretty woman, and no way. Oh. So she was like, oh, my husband is a photographer, and he would get all these lovely stock photos of you and, see where it goes. And if the worst thing that would happen is you would have a bunch of really pretty photos of yourself.
That's great.
So my husband decided, I talked it over with my husband, and my husband said, no, okay, this guy looks legit. Let's go ahead and do it. And I did. And then I got agents, boom. And my first agent was Natalie at Boca Talent at the time. And Natalie said, well, can you act? And I thought, yeah, really, when you think about it, a lot of times we act, you might just act your way through something. You remember this person's name, but you really don't. You just kind of act through. Exactly. So I thought, okay, I can do this. And then I took acting class every Tuesday night at Act True here in Fort Lauderdale with Mark Durso, and did my Uta Hagen exercises. And it took me about 1.5 years to get through it. And I did background work. Actually, it was more like featured work on the set of The Glades, which was shooting here. And I called it my paid internship because, you would spend all these hours, 16-hour days to make $100, of which then I would just put that back into my acting career and the money that I was spending at Act True. And I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with the creative process. I fell in love with the people. The sense of community amongst some of the other actors was just really incredible. And I just educated myself. I took as many classes as I could. From a variety of different people in our area, Lori Wyman, Ellen Jacoby. They all have wonderful workshops. I trained with Timothy O'Keefe, who was with the Young and Restless for many years. And Timothy, oh my gosh, the lessons that he shared really are true life lessons, because he was very much a working actor. And I guess I had a little bit of a success with it, mostly commercial work, because that's what we have here in South Florida mostly. I feel very fortunate that I've been able to make a living. Some years are much better than others, but yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been kind of interesting to, I met you in person first, and then seeing you on billboards and commercials, and that's like, whoa, it's
Yeah.
so surreal. Yeah, so I'd say you've been pretty successful.
Yeah, and when I started, keep in mind that I was like one of the only people that had this hair, I mean, you think back to 2009. Oh, so okay, 12 years ago. And I was always prematurely gray. I got this hair, my first gray, when I was 14, and I plucked it. So I colored for a long time. And then when I started having my family, I didn't want to color anymore. So I've been naturally this color since my 30s. And when I started acting, I think that's kind of what the draw was. In fact, one of the local casting directors, who I adore, had said to me one day, he said, "Marilyn, we don't know what to do with you, because your hair says grandma, but your personality and your face says mom." And in that split second that in a commercial, especially that, you're on and the audience has to make a connection. Who is this person?
Yeah.
We don't know what category to put you in, because you're kind of like he called me a beautiful anomaly.
Yeah, you are, and your hair is beautiful, and I love. I don't know. I don't even know. I'm not a beauty expert, but it's just the shade of white it is. It's just so pristine. It's like platinum, and you are youthful. You don't look like an aged person. You don't look like the stereotypical grandma. So it is interesting, but you look. I'm sorry, my nerd is going to come out. You look like a fantasy character.
That I'd love to.
Yeah.
I'd love to play a fantasy character.
Your eyes are blue and your hair is white. It's beautiful. I love it. So it just screams fantasy to me. So yes, you do have an interesting look, and a beautifully interesting look. So
Thank you. But I'm no longer the only one. And especially with the pandemic, a lot of women that were coloring decided they couldn't color anymore. So they were like, we're growing this out,
Yeah.
So, it's interesting. And, I used to always say, like, well, if you want white, because it was like me and maybe two other white-haired or silver-haired women in the biz. And so I would be like, well, if you want white, I'm your girl. But if you don't want white, I'm not your girl. And in fact, I shot this wonderful El Dorado furniture commercial. And Chris Alliers was the director. And Chris had said, "Marilyn, based on your auditions, we've been wanting to hire you for quite some time, but we just couldn't do the hair." So I went in, I bought a wig. And, I can audition with that wig on and sit right next to somebody that has known me for quite a period of time, and they have no idea that it's me. It's so different.
Your trademark's gone.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But you're an actor. You're a chameleon. That's what you do. But retaining.
Yeah, I got headshots with the wig too, just in case. And sometimes I have auditioned with it, and it's a lot of work, though. I will say, it's a pain putting all this up and covering it. And I look at it, and I'm like, well, I'm certainly not me. So it better be that character that I'm trying to portray, because it certainly is not me, that hair. So.
I don't think I've ever seen a headshot with you in the wig before. So Yeah, I'm curious to see how it looks different. But yeah, it's crazy what we do to try to, because there are types, and that's what I think some people have trouble understanding. There's types that, like you said, at a switch, at a commercial, it's that immediate 10-second, this is what I get a feeling of from casting directors. So it's really cool that you're talking about that, and it makes me curious. What has helped you during your auditions? Have you done anything or had any kind of mental mantra that you have while you're going into auditions? What kind of state of mind are you in?
Well, I know for sure that I love in-person auditions much better than self-taping. Although I would say that I think self-taping is here to stay.
Okay.
One of the things, it depends if there's a lot of dialogue. That can be really intimidating, because a lot of times too, you won't get your lines until a couple of days at the most, sometimes much shorter period of time to really learn your lines. And that's not always so easy. You really have to stay focused and just commit to an hour or two of just hardcore memorization. But then it's not just hardcore memorization, then it's making those words come alive and sort of just like as if those words actually were coming out of your mouth.
Right.
And it's not easy. People that think that acting is, that's easy. It's really not. It's a very hard, I learned and gained so much respect for my friends that were, doing film and television, because there's just copious amounts of dialogue typically. But you know what? I would always remind myself, I'd be like, girl, if you could memorize that Krebs cycle, for biochemistry and stuff, you'd be able to memorize lines, But,
yeah.
And I would also say too, a lot of it after a while, you get to know our community is really pretty small, and you get to know the casting directors, and some casting directors are just so wonderful to the talent. They do everything. Marquee is Brad Davis and the group at Marquee is just incredible because they will give you the tools. They want you to come in and they want you to just knock it out of the ballpark with your audition. And they're just warm and welcoming. They always have been, and I love them dearly. And other casting directors, it's intimidation. It's hard, you really have to just go in there. And of course, the whole drive home, you're always, shoulda, coulda, woulda, and that's hard. But, I think you go prepared as you can be. Preparation is key. It really helps if you have people to work with, with your dialogue when you've got that. And that can be challenging sometimes to find somebody that's going to sit there and go through your lines, 100 times with you.
Yeah. that one really good family member or that friend that owes you something. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and I think the other thing too is, Timothy O'Keefe actually was one of the ones who he'd said that, you go in, the work of the actor is the audition, really prepping. You go in, you do your audition, and then you just move on. You put it behind you. And again, that's such great information, but that's so much harder to do than, because especially then if you get the call back. You get the call back, and then you're wiping out your schedule so that you do the shoot in case you book it. And you go in and you're feeling really positive and optimistic, and then you don't book it, and you never find out why. And you just, it's this huge bummer.
Yeah, it takes a lot of inner strength to be an actor.
Yeah.
And So it's pretty cool that you've done it over and over and over again. And obviously the more you do it, the more practice you've had and the more experience you've had in the wins and the failures and that's so cool. It's so cool to know, that it's okay, because look at you, you're wonderful and you're here and you're doing great. And sometimes you get a low and sometimes you get that high.
Yeah.
Well.
And it is ebbs and flows. You'll be like, nothing books like success. Mm-hmm. So, when you're on a roll and it's like, oh my gosh, I booked that. And I don't know if it's the confidence that you portray when you walk into that room that you can be like, yeah, I've got this,
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, or if it's just sort of karma, but people that are, working actors would say there is the ebb and the flow, because you'll go through really dry spells where you're like, oh, you want to give up, because you're doing the work, you're memorizing your lines. Nowadays too, there is so much more work involved with the self-taping, because you've got to set up your camera and set up your background and, and then you inputting it into iMovies or whatever and editing it, and then getting it through WeTransfer to your agent, who then of course clears it. And then if they like it, it goes off to the casting director, who, if they like it, then it goes to the client. And, and meanwhile, you've just it takes me, I would say on average about 3 hours to put something on. But I'm not as savvy. I think the younger people, certainly my son, who's also an actor, he can do it in like no time.
Yeah, I think it's with practice, and you're doing it. You're putting in the practice. So you're going to be a millennial, Gen Z. What is it now? In no time, and get the whole filming thing. It is a lot of work, and that's another thing that people don't really realize, because they see what's coming through the screen, but behind we have a lot going on. So it's that continuous, like what you talked about with all that work you put into the training that you did for yourself, and all the work that you have with the agent, the photo shoots, and all that stuff that you did to get where you are now. And it's not just going there, reading a line, and it went great because it came naturally to me, because words come naturally to people. It's something you worked really hard on, just like what you're filming now to get those as your auditions. That's more work that you're putting into your craft, and it's incredible that you're willing to do that. It's not an easy gig, it's not an easy life, but it's something you're passionate about, and it's something that you want to do. And it's so cool to see that you're doing it at all, because that's powerful too. Even when it's hard, you're doing it. It's so cool.
You do have to push through, though. Definitely those dry spells, you just have to keep pushing. And, and some of what helps with that too is to continue to train. Obviously I'm not taking, once you sort of do act true, I'm sure Mark would love to have me stay forever a perpetual student. And, you could, because you could always learn and you can always get better. But you know what, I think it is nice on your resume to have sort of an assortment. That's why a few years back where I met you, and I decided, you know what, I need improv training, and where's the best place, in my opinion, to, nationally, of course, this was before you guys had your thing, but, was to go to Second City, because Second City is just world renowned for improv. And I remember going up the elevator the first time, because I'd gotten there on the weekend and class didn't start till Monday, and I wanted to scout out, where I would go so I wouldn't be late to class, And going up that elevator, I was just like, wow, this is just so incredible. And, fighting back the tears of just anticipation and excitement and feeling so proud of myself. And, you know, I had no improv training. And so my group was so supportive. My improv family, you know, was so supportive because, yeah, I had a resume and I had done television and I'd done some really awesome independent films. I don't know if I had my Lifetime, I'd been in a Lifetime movie, just a little, like almost 5 and under, called Girlfriend Killer. And, you know, but
Wow.
yeah, and I definitely had some nice things on my resume, but I felt like I wanted to get some things that were out of South Florida, you know, and, you know, things that anybody in Los Angeles or any place could pick up my resume and take a look and say, oh yeah, okay, I know this person. And so one of the things that I did this summer was I took a commercial, auditioning for commercials, which I've done a gazillion times, but I took it through Lori Wyman, who's a casting director here in South Florida. I took it through Lori's workshops, she hosted Terry Berlind, who is a Los Angeles commercial director. And, you know, I think she does some coaching, obviously, and whatnot. So that was interesting. And, you know, it was all done on Zoom. So, you know, it really helped to work through that environment too, because you don't have a big field that you're playing with. You know, you've got just this narrow little field. Anyways, it was informative. So I'll be happy to be able to put that to work a little bit more as time and things start to continue to come back. And they are starting to come back. So, you know, but it would be nice to have it even more.
Yeah. And what from the before times, what was one of your favorite moments performing?
Well, I would segregate them into the commercial and then the indie film. My very first commercial actually was, oh my gosh, it was a huge production. And Jonas Ackerlund, who is a Swedish director, came, and he does like Madonna and U2 and all these great music videos. And so he wanted this commercial, never aired in the United States, only in the UK. And it was AXA, that's AXA, auto insurance. And the commercial was called Road Rage. And it was one of my very first auditions. And, you know, I don't know what booked it for me. I guess I have, you know, we went in as a group and to Universal Casting, which Universal was just this huge commercial casting site. And somebody tapped on my shoulder in the audition, and I must have turned around, and you know, that's almost what they had me do in the commercial itself. But the commercial shot in downtown Fort Lauderdale over 3 days, and they had, you know, a multitude of police officers directing traffic, and it was downtown Fort Lauderdale. And I had my own trailer.
Oh, wow.
And
fancy.
Right? And this is my first commercial. And, you know, and so they're blow drying out my hair because they wanted me to have this huge hair. I'm supposed to be this British woman, right? And they fix me up, hair and makeup, who were awesome. And they escort me to set, and the casting director's doing one of this. And he's like, no, I want the hair bigger. So then back I go. You know, more hairspray, my hair is like huge, right? I look like Cruella de Vil or something. And and they take me out, and he's like, too big.
Oh.
But and yeah, it was fun. And actually, so here's where it leads into my next part. So a wonderful, talented writer, actor, just wonderful person, Adam Fortner. He actually he was background in that, or featured in that commercial, and his job was to shove me. I'm walking and I'm applying lipstick and I'm looking, you know, and he shoves me into a wall, and my lipstick goes across my face, and I turn around, road rage.
Yeah,
this huge face. So he shoved me into the wall about a gazillion times that day. And at one point he was like, Marilyn, I'm so sorry. And he's like, and I said, it's okay. And I said, I'm starting to anticipate the shove. So I need you to shove me harder because it's looking fake. So shove me harder. And he's like, you're sure? And I'm sure. Anyway, so obviously the commercial was a great success. It ran for several years. I did get a copy of it only because I was able to, search Jonas Ackerlund. It probably still is on his website. But wow, what a great experience. And meeting Adam wrote this beautiful feature film called Quarter Lifers. And it was based on his own life, his own personal experience with losing his father. And so he asked me to audition for that. And this was my first independent film audition. And keep in mind, this is I think I'd only at this point been acting maybe 3 months, been in it like 3 months. And, and so I really felt just that character, and my character, it's a very dramatic role for me. And I was able to use a lot of the drama from my veterinary life because there's just a tremendous amount of sadness, as you can imagine, being a veterinarian. And so I was really able to use that to create my character and create my reactions and my feelings. And so my audition, I actually had the person behind the camera crying too, and I booked it. And I would say that the people that shot that movie, Quarter Lifers, first of all, just amazing South Florida talent all the way. And just those people really became like a family. We all still have stayed like family. And
that's so nice.
Yeah. And, it is nice. And so I said to myself, wow, I really think my favorite part of acting is doing films because of that relationship. And the cinematographer, beautifully talented man by the name of Anthony Dones, and Anthony and a group of other talented people, Julio Alvarez, Chris Giles, did the sound. And actually Chris just did the sound. Shout out to Chris. He's the sound guy on WandaVision. And
wow.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Huge. So proud of him. But again, these people became our family, right? And so Anthony and a group, Julio, they created a comic book that they take the comic books and they create them into independent films.
Wow.
And the name of the company is Creature Entertainment.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And so I did a little spot. They're all shorts. Really, I did this really fun one called TS 101, Test Subject 101. Ooh. And I play this very sinister, kind of evil person.
Those are the most fun.
So much fun. But yeah, so I've done a little voiceover work for them as well. Creature Entertainment, highly recommend them. So much talent from the people, the artists who are drawing the comic book characters, and they have video games, and they still do some independent films and very, very cool stuff. So
it sounds very, very cool.
But so I guess the bottom line is, though, it's sort of who you meet, your connections along the way. And when you get with a really good group, then you just embrace that, and because that networking, really will help, really will help you get someplace. But then you also get spoiled when you get a really good group too, and then, and then you're like, the next independent film, you're like, I don't know.
You're not like the others,
right?
I have so many families. Yeah.
Which brings, though, I think another interesting point. One of the local actresses that also took training through Act True, Christina Figueroa. She's very successful, lovely, beautiful woman. And she had said to me at one point, she said, well, what kind of an actor do you want to be? Because it really is helpful. Do you want to host? Do you want to do commercials? Do you want to do film? Do you want to do television? Because she, in her opinion, she said, people that try to spread it out and do everything really don't become very good at doing any one particular thing.
Yeah.
So, I kind of took what she said to heart. And I think because South Florida is mostly commercial, and I have this smile.
It's a good smile.
It's a good smile. And so, I sort of decided to kind of embrace more of the commercials. And, but I do some independent films here and there. And one of the ones that I actually, The Eccentric Life of Baron Styles is, I have a very small part. I actually don't say a word at all. I won't give any more of it away.
Okay.
But anyways, it is actually getting a lot of nominations and opportunities at some of the local, no, not even local, even international. I think it's going to be seen at the Barcelona Film Festival. There was one that Tony, he's the writer, Anthony Larkin, just also incredible. This guy just, it's like creativity and novels and screenplays just pour out of the guy. He's writing one and he's already thinking about two others.
Wow.
Yeah, he's really talented.
And that brings me to another point. Do you have this film that you're participating in and you have a role in? Are there any others, or is there a way to see that for people to take a look, or any work that they can take a look of yours now?
Oh gosh. Well, you probably still could see me. Actually, I have a website, but it crashed. And so I've just sort of been working on getting that back up and running. But you know what? I do have, I think if you search me on YouTube, Marilyn Carlisle, you can probably find some clips from things. If you are in casting networks, which for those of you that may not know, casting networks is something that you can do it individually, but typically your agent signs you up to represent their agency on casting networks. I also have an IMDb page. So there's some of these things. You're going to force me to update everything, right?
I just want people to see you. You're worth seeing. Everyone needs to see Marilyn. Please watch Marilyn, please.
Yeah, thanks. But I welcome having some really good opportunities to come, and you just kind of snatch them up. My husband and I always used to laugh that every presidential election I would book a national SAG commercial, and one was Dunkin' Donuts. I had a nice Dunkin' Donuts commercial, but it was really about the coffee. I'm running on Dunkin'. And then I had a Prudential retirement, which did just amazing. It's the shrug that kind of went around the world, because I don't say anything. But I just kind of go,
a shrug is worth 1,000 words.
Right?
Yeah.
And, but this selection, no go. So maybe that's because of COVID. So I'm keeping my eye open for my next SAG thing.
So the last thing that we want to know before we wrap up for today is, what is one thing about you that no one could tell just by looking at you?
I don't know. Probably that I'm a veterinarian. I don't know. That's a tough one.
I know.
Can I think about that and get back to you? I don't know. I once asked Lori Wyman, and she cast the movie Marley and Me. And, of course it's there's a veterinarian in that role. And, I said, would you have cast me as a veterinarian for that? Would you have cast me knowing I'm a real life veterinarian? And she was like, no, probably not. Because you're not the stereotypical, when somebody thinks veterinarian, they don't really necessarily think of, the white hair and, that I would also be a model or, some of those things. So,
yeah. So it's not something that they could tell because you're not a stereotypical vet.
Whatever that is.
Whatever
that is, right? Anything.
But yeah, and it's so, I think you've told me, I didn't know until you told me that you were a vet. And it's so cool to know not only I think a lot of people feel like the arts is therapeutic. It's helpful in so many ways. It's so important. But then on the other end of the spectrum, you're also working with animals, and that is just it's such a pure profession in the sense of you're helping the helpless. They don't have their own words to communicate how they're feeling with other people, and you're able to dig in there and see what's going on. And I think it's such a pure thing in and of itself. So I just think it's incredible that you're doing both of those things. You're helping people with the arts, and you're helping animals with their health and helping their owners, have peace of mind that they're okay, they're going to do better, or if not, that they have someone to have a shoulder, of support. So I think it's really really cool, and cool is the word I'm using today, but I think it's great.
Thank you. They're both labors of love. For sure, and I used to say, especially when I first started, and, being a veterinarian draws from your love bank, because it is, obviously very sad, saying goodbye and helping owners. And, I've been practicing long enough that I have some owners that I'm on their third generation, and, so saying goodbye, it's tough, very tough. And so I would say that, that takes out of my love bank, whereas the acting deposits into my love bank, and so yeah, it gives you something, and it gives you that nice balance between left brain, right brain. Although I would say, I think the right brain is definitely harder for me, because I've always, veterinary medicine so just rigid, and science, science is science, and it's intense, and it's not really very creative. And then to learn to try to develop the creativity of the right side of the mind, it's still a challenge to allow myself to come out and play. And, Timothy O'Keefe, as I said to you, I love Timothy. And Timothy, if you ever get a chance to take Timothy's classes, because he gives you these little nuggets, like things that you'll take. He'd be like, it's about the relationships. Okay, your relationship with your agent, your relationship with your character, your relationship with other people on the set. It's about the relationships. So again, you walk out the door and it's like you say, next, because you can't take it, you can't get a redo usually. And, just some of these just lovely little things that stay with you forever. And they're really solid for the industry. So.
Well, thank you so much, Marilyn. It has been so much fun talking to you and catching up and learning about what you do to, continue on with your artistic venture and what you do behind the scenes to be who you are on the screen. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I have enjoyed it. I could probably talk for another hour, but hey, that's an actor too.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for having me, Angelica.
Of course. Bye, everyone. Make sure to look into Marilyn Carlisle. She is on IMDb if you want to look her up. and see everything that she's done before. If you'd like to see more people and hear their stories as well, make sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video below so that we know that you're watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. This has been Talk About It Tuesday with This is Improv. My name is Angelica. Goodbye.
Bye.